masihlah mimpi punya rumah kecil di tengah rumput sabana, dekat hutan di lembah yang tenang dan damai, agar anak dan istriku bisa menepi dari
Welcome to Cha Time. Thank you for signing up and joining us today. Before we start the program, I would like to introduce SEEDS. SEEDS is our organization, and it stands for Southeast Asian Cultural Heritage Alliance. We are a joint commitment of government, the people, and the business sector to cultural heritage protection policies and actions to safeguard Southeast Asian cultural heritage for future generations. Our founding members are Indonesian Heritage Trust, Mulberries of Laos, PDR, Penang Heritage Trust of Malaysia, Yangon Heritage Trust of Myanmar, the Heritage Conservation Society of the Philippines, Singapore Heritage Society, the Science Society under royal patronage, and the Center for Research and Promotion of Cultural Heritage of Vietnam, of Vietnam Mission. SEEDS aims to promote effective government-community partnership in cultural heritage management in Southeast Asia to strengthen the ASEAN social cultural community as a people-centered third pillar of ASEAN, and serve both as a networking forum between ASEAN member organizations with an aim to be a dialogue partner of ASEAN governments in the ASEAN Secretariat further. Cha Time is a series which we have had since many months ago. And Cha Time is a monthly program for sharing knowledge and expertise on common cultural heritage issues in Southeast Asian countries. Talks are held virtually on Saturday afternoons. The program lasts about an hour each time, and SEEDS founding members nominate speakers from the countries to present on topics that are relevant to the theme of the year. So each of us will try to organize at least one Cha Time per year. The theme of this year is Traditional Cultural Wisdom for Climate Action. Our upcoming events on this theme will be a youth workshop, which will be held in August, 8th to 11th of August, 2022 in Bangkok. And then the main conference, the SEEDS conference, will be held 12th to 14th January 2023 in Bangkok. The theme of the two mentioned activities plays around heritage and cultural wisdom for climate action. And more information can be found at www.seedsa.org. And now I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Au-Diya. She's right here, yes. Au-Diya Abdul belongs to a small team with different backgrounds who are passionate about sustainable eco-living. With a background in culinary arts, Au-Diya takes inspiration to create menus from the edible garden and food forest. She believes that a big part of sustainability lies and relies within the slow food movement, or slow food, and tackling food waste, among others. In 2021, Au-Diya won the Anugerah Kejiranan Hijau 2021, or it translates as Green Neighborhood Award, organized by the Department of Town and Country Planning of Malaysia, or PLANMalaysia, in the individual category for her efforts in food forest and edible garden, rainwater harvesting, composting, as well as recycling and upcycling within SEEDS Malaysia. SEEDS Malaysia is located in Klang, Selangor, Malaysia. Operating since 2007, SEEDS Malaysia is a hands-on suburban permaculture training center started by Razak Aziz Intan Jailani. And now together with Au-Diya, SEEDS Malaysia offers visits, training and capacity building programs, from co-curriculum based experiential workshops to mentoring and coaching of holistic urban and suburban natural farming. Their focus is empowering young leaders towards own community food production. SEEDS Malaysia also emphasizes on aspects of gearing towards other climate change efforts, including food forests, climate justice, permaculture design, and more. So here she is, Miss Au-Diya Abdul.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Au-Diya. I also go by Audi. A very, very good afternoon, a very hot afternoon in Klang, Selangor in Malaysia. We're located about 20 minutes from the city center. I'm not actually in the garden right now. I'm sorry, I could not be live from the garden, but this is the background of the garden. Good afternoon to all the Zoom attendees. Thank you so much, Ms. Pu Salma, for having me and for inviting me. Thank you so much to Ms. Jaruni and Sicha for organizing it. So I'll just share my screen.
Oh, by the way, I would like to mention that you can post your questions in the question and answer.
Oh yes, please. If you guys have any questions, please feel free just to type it out and we'll address it at the end of the session. All right, I hope my screen's up. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking a little bit about climate change. I am a culinary graduate from UiTM in Malaysia. I graduated in Culinary Arts. So by passion and my heart belongs to the kitchen in one way or another. And this topic of cultural wisdom and climate efforts couldn't have come any sooner. It's the perfect topic that we can address this time around. I'm going to introduce a bit about SEEDS, and then we'll touch base about what certain youth in Malaysia are doing. And also I want to touch about Kampong, our villages in Malaysia, the Orang Asli, and what the indigenous people and what all of us are trying to do and trying to mimic back to a time when food was secured and when food availability and food security was guaranteed, and when, back to the old days. So I'll just get into it. First, I'll introduce our team. We are a small team of 3. Razak actually started SEEDS Malaysia together with Intan, and Razak has been working in event designing as well as Intan. He leads all our sustainable efforts. Intan is what we like to call our fairy godmother in the garden. She is in charge of all the trees, all the plants, introducing new trees and whatnot. And I am operations for SEEDS Malaysia. So what we do a lot of things actually. So I hope everyone's not so overwhelmed. But basically we do visits, programs, capacity building and training. We also host green sustainable conferences online and offline. As of last year, Malaysia also had the MCO lockdown, so we were forced to move online. We also do consultation. We provide sustainable solutions to corporate, schools, communities, garden communities, and whatnot. Our other business is also composting. We do, among others, 18-day hot compost, and we are also a venue in Klang, Selangor in Malaysia, where we host on Airbnb as a homestay. So this is basically our homestay. What you see there is when we first started. So we've been staying there for 5 years, working the land. And this is our office. Our office is an eco office. We have 2 eco-loos, sustainable toilets that don't use any water at all. Our building is made out of secondhand cabins and whatnot. Okay, we also do programs and visits on all topics, permaculture, food forests, and such. So we also held a conference last year in 2021 on food forests. I will touch a bit on food forests a bit later, but this was some of our conferences done. Our composting, as you can see here, we're a small team of 3 again, so it's all hands-on. I do the compost myself. We do tree planting projects, and this is our food forest. So if you're not familiar with permaculture or food forest in general, food forest is a concept in permaculture that aims to plant trees, but you plant trees to mimic a forest. So we're going back to the old days where forest was still around. So what is in our fruit forest is just a small section of our house. We have all indigenous trees. We have plants from Malaysia that is hard to find. We actually do go into the forest and into the jungle and harvest those trees. And we work with the indigenous people of Malaysia as well to harvest these rare trees. So this is actually the picture of my background. So we have lots of fruits and also vegetables. So just a stat, we have planted this many trees in our edible garden, fruit forest, our tree planting projects, and soon upcoming, we actually already started on a buffer zone in our residential area where we are going to plant 700 trees, including fruit trees and whatnot. We have already started planting about 100. So tree planting is one of the things that we are very passionate about. Malaysia also has this project going on called the 100 Million Trees Project, which aims to plant 100 million trees all across Malaysia in about another 3 years. So a bit about Kampong Wisdom. So Kampong Wisdom is all about community, sustainability, and also from my angle, food and beverage, because what we eat has a lot of weight to sustainability in general. No matter where you are in Thailand, in KL, you know, food waste, food consumed, our food sources, a very, very big part of sustainability. So I'll touch on this a bit later. So I just want to share this. This is a very interesting depiction of what a Malay kampong house, a Malay village house used to be back then. There are still houses like this, but to practice all of the sustainable solutions like our grandfathers and late grandfathers used to do is very challenging now in the modern times. So as you can see here, everything from the building itself of the house, the yard, everything is sustainable, and everything is integrating with the environment. So for example, the house itself is raised, prevents floods and whatnot. Malaysia is also prone to floods because of our distance with the coastal areas. Also, we used to plant coconut trees, high trees for shading. So that makes our houses cooler. We also always have a toilet outside, so in an outhouse. And usually this outhouse will not be connected to any sewage. So what we used to do is we would collect leaves, we would collect bamboo leaves, dried bamboo leaves, dried grass, and then cover our urine and whatnot after we do our business. So that was how it used to do. It's actually the same concept as the eco-loo that we have in our office currently, which uses no water to flush and so on. So we would always have a well, rainwater harvesting, which is a very big concept now. But back in the days, it was just a well. And to keep it away from mosquitoes and whatnot, we will use crystals. So we always had environmental friendly, accessible solutions to us in the kampong, in the villages. So I find that very, very interesting that we are now rewinding ourselves to go back and practice what we used to practice. We also had drainage, water when we cook, when we grey water from the showers and whatnot will usually be channeled through our gardens and so on. All right, so an example of the house building in a traditional Malay kampong village house is to always have an airflow. It is so well ventilated. As you can see here, we have like designs on the walls that allowed air to come in and come out. So it was very, compared to the houses that we stay right now, it's just a box. And, you know, we're lucky if we even have windows and so on. These are a bit more, a few examples on the Malay Kampong houses. I just wanted to show in the last picture, that was not in the first picture, that we always would have chickens, geese, and animals lying around. One is for our own food consumption, the chickens, and for our own meat consumption. Two is also for waste management. So unfinished rice, unfinished fruit peels would always go to the chickens to finish, so it doesn't end up in the landfill. So these are some more examples of some Kampong village gardens, banana leaves. We will always plant what we eat, what we consume. All right. And so we cannot talk about sustainability in Malaysia without talking about the rights of the indigenous. So actually, out of the 32 million now, 32 million Malaysians, 13.8 to 14% are indigenous people. And for them, we call them the Orang Asli and Orang Asal. For them, sustainability tag does not exist. You know, the term sustainability does not exist because they have always lived that way. They have always used what is around them. They have always respected nature, and they don't have to come up with plans or come up with governance like we do in the urban areas, just so that they can live sustainably. So I just want to touch that ensuring the Orang Asli and Orang Asal participation in policy making, especially when it comes to sustainability and environmental development, has to involve the Orang Asli and Orang Asal at every point. So the Orang Asli knowledge in what we call green tech confers from traditional herbal medicines. As we know, they are experts in their plants, their herbs, and it is passed down verbally through their kids and their grandkids. So everyone would know what trees, they have a cure for every ailment. And they always would place their habitats in ecosystems that has rivers or they have natural resources when there's food and subsistence farming, of course. And they are very, very broad spectrum foragers. They hunt and gather only what and how much is needed. They do not take extra. That is one of the key components in sustainability in food and beverage in the modern world as well. They are also safe guardians of the forest. To them, natural resources are considered as shared property among their community and among the communities of Orang Asli and Orang Asal that is together with them. They are part of the system, therefore their respect for these natural resources are different than how we are in the urban areas. And of course, they don't rely on modern technology in their food and beverages. All right, these are some of the indigenous practices in medicine. They use everything and anything to cure every ailment available, from postpartum care to refreshing the body and whatnot, blood circulation. So they have all these ready in their gardens and in their forests for their own consumption. And I don't want to go more about the Orang Asli and Orang Asal because we're not that much of an expert in this. And but you have to know that the indigenous people, the Orang Asli and Orang Asal, represents 5% of the world population, but they manage 80% of the Earth's biodiversity. So I just want, if you have a key takeaway, please, have this in your mind when you involve people in policy making. It doesn't matter in Thailand, in Malaysia, in other Southeast Asia's countries. Remember that they manage 80% of our biodiversity. That is how important they are. Okay, I just want to move on, quickly touch on permaculture. I know not everyone here is a gardener or a permaculturist, but permaculture stands for permanent agriculture. And what permanent agriculture practices, opposed to traditional agriculture, is everything you see here. We do practices in our garden that involve practices that produce no waste. We are very, very aware of the problems in our gardens, and we look for small solutions. Permaculture also values diversity, meaning compared to the traditional agriculture where you only plant one thing in one area, we always tend to plant everything that we can in one small area, including having animals, having bugs and insects, and so on and so forth. So that's just a brief touch on permaculture. Our edible garden. Okay, so our edible garden, because I am the cook for SEEDS Malaysia, we plant only what we eat, and we eat what we plant. So back when before the movement control order in Malaysia, we had a lot of participants. Therefore, we had the garden was always producing and whatnot. But when the movement control order happened, we had to move everything online. So we reconfigured our garden to fit our own consumption of our family, and just give some to the neighbors and whatnot. Our edible garden also serves as a program and learning center where participants can learn different styles of planting vegetables, raised beds and whatnot. And we also practice the permaculture principle of 7 layers, where we plant a habitat. I said just now, we plant anything we can to fit in that small one area. And as well as we use mulch and composting. We don't use any chemical fertilizers in the garden. All these practices in our what we call green technology of edible garden now have been practiced with the indigenous people and the village people for so long. So this is again going back to how it used to be. All right, so this is our food forest. If you can see here, the first picture was when we first moved in 2017, and this was in 2019. So the land was barren. The land was with red soil, red clay soil, very hard, very anything you plant will not grow and whatnot. But since introducing composting, our land have flourished far better than we imagined. The tallest tree in our food forest is about 20 feet high. That's the ketapang tree. So it is very, composting is one of the things in the food forest we use a lot. And this is a quote from Razak. It's a very touching quote that we have to think about, that it is only natural that we return this favor to Mother Earth by planting trees and living sustainably. All right, why do we plant a food forest? We are literally trying to make a forest that can bear us food. So everything, all the plants you see in there are not only rare and indigenous trees. The trees also feed us with, things like coffee, labu kayu, cermai, a lot of Malaysian natural trees. Again, we use the permaculture food forest method. And we plant plants that are perennial, meaning they don't have any seasons. They will continue to fruit and fruit and fruit. And a food forest compared to an edible garden takes full advantage of vertical space when we plant We will plant tall trees with understory trees, with shrubs, with tubers, and lastly ground covers. So every inch of the soil is covered with one fruit producing or veggie producing tree. All right, so how are we doing on the timing? I hope we're okay. I just want to take a break. I hope everyone is still with me. This is Zainal Abidin with the song Hijau. So Hijau is a song that we Malaysians consider as our theme song. It's our theme song for sustainability. I'll just play you a short excerpt of the song, but that is the translation. The song is in Malay, so I hope our Thai friends can enjoy the song as well. Okay, I hope everyone's okay. So this song actually talks about everything that we have in Malaysia, our forests, our land, our oceans, and the last bit that you heard there translate to the earth without ocean will be exhausted. Soon they will surely disappear, my helpless world. So it's a very, very deep song when you think about it. It's a very emotional song as well. If you're interested, please go to YouTube and listen to the song. There's the English translation in there as well. Okay, so we'll get back to it. Okay, so sustainability in F&B. So being a person, a culinary art graduate, I am very, very particular and very, very meticulous on what goes on to the plates I serve and whatnot. So that is why we have edible gardens and food forests. It's a personal experience when visitors come to SEEDS Malaysia. I get to introduce what's called slow food, which is shortening the food chain, meaning the vegetables I plant goes directly to your table. There are no markets involved, there are no supermarkets involved, no food delivery service involved. I know in Thailand as well in Malaysia, food delivery service is very, very popular. That's how we managed to go through the movement control order. But we need to rethink our options here. A lot of food and beverages, F&B industries in Malaysia garners a lot of waste. And for me, when visitors come, I get to make less waste by making a concept called 30% less. So if you get a plate of nasi lemak or a plate of pad thai, you know, the usual serving is usually very, very big. So when you come to SEEDS Malaysia, I would serve 30% less. So that creates less wastage from our side. And if you want more, you can always ask for more. So that is among the principles that we practice in SEEDS Malaysia, as well as composting. So any of the food wasted goes to one composting component or another. For example, the bones will go to our dogs, the fruit peels, we will make enzymes out of it. We also use the bokashi method, and the peels and raw ingredients go to the chicken or fishes, for example. So this is a few of the things that we eat. You can see we harvest and cook our fishes. We have a big avocado tree that's very, very fruitful. Slow food also means food that does not involve a lot of preparation, a lot of cooking, a lot of processes. So direct food. For example, you can see there on the left most our duck eggs and moringa leaves and spring onion. We make it into a very, very nice omelette for breakfast. So that's one of the examples of slow food. What we cannot finish and what we have surplus, we would preserve it ourselves, still using preserving practices just to ensure that it doesn't go to waste so much. So we're almost at the end. I just wanted to share quickly our HRDF programs. Last year, we managed to do training for 100 participants. So it's on the topic of sustainable farming. All right, this is when I won the Anugerah Kejiranan Hijau Awards, translated to Green Neighborhood Sustainability Awards in 2021 by the Department of Town and Country Planning Malaysia. So apart from winning the cash prize, we were also invited to share what we do on the Department of Town and Planning, Country Planning Malaysia's Facebook. So we did a sharing and try to introduce what we do to other people as well. Okay, so the last bit, I want to introduce you to River Tree because in Malaysia, I know in Thailand there are a lot of rivers and whatnot, but our Malaysians here, especially in the urban areas, are quite dirty. But people like River Tree, the Alliance of River Tree was founded by Kennedy Michael. So he does the river conservation and rehabilitation project. If you are interested to know more for my fellow Malaysians, please go on to their website here. They are doing a fantastic job in cleaning the banks of the rivers and making it accessible to the public with gardens, with public spaces. They host community-based events and whatnot. Okay, this is also another initiative by Malaysia, the Greenhouses of Worship programs. So under this program, 100 places of worship will be chosen and given the green initiatives awarding. So under this project, 60% of the sustainability efforts will be given by the government. Why did they choose places of worship? Is because mosques, temples, quails, and whatnot are known as the third place of living. So we have our homes, we have our offices or where we work, our farms, our gardens, and whatnot. Then we have our place of worship. So it will always come third in our living conditions. So it's a place where in traditional Malay settlements as well as in urban areas, it's a place of communal gathering. It's a place of relaxation, of serenity. So that is where Malaysia figured out that these places of worship could promote sustainability. And what they are doing is introducing solar panels, rainwater harvesting, and management of waste, among other sustainability principles. So lastly, I just want to touch about some challenges of SEEDS Malaysia. First is the involvement of Orang Asli. We do programs with the Orang Asli. However, we feel that the involvement of them, of these indigenous people, in every level of state and national reviews of sustainability policies is very, very important, as well as guaranteeing them equal education in our public universities and whatnot. Unfortunately, for SEEDS Malaysia, we also have a problem of staffing. It's everything we do on our own. We need to make sustainability-based jobs like my job as rewarding as blue-collar jobs, if not more, financially and also reward-based. We also would like to challenge Malaysia to more incentives, financial help, and also sustainably based technology, as well as more eco-education and investment in capacity building and environmentally sustainable solutions, in line with the Earth Day's motto, invest in our Earth. So that's it from me. It's a bit concise. I'm sorry if I went too fast, but these are our socials. Please feel free to touch base no matter from Thailand, we would love to go to Thailand. Or if you're in Malaysia, please feel free to touch base on our socials. And yeah, that's all from me. Miss Amma?
Yes, thank you very much, Au-Diya. I really loved your presentation,
Oh,
and
thank you so much.
I'm so happy that you played that song. It's more from my generation.
Yeah.
About three decades old, but it's really the song that launched, the green music movement, right?
It is,
And
it is.
yes, yes. And I just want to share one of the sayings in Malay, which is berbudi pada tanah. Oh, sorry, let me start my video. Berbudi pada tanah pasti ada hasilnya. And that translates to, if you do a good deed to the earth, you will surely get a reward. If you do a good deed to other people, sometimes they may or may not be grateful, but the earth is always abundant. It always rewards you with abundance. And I
Agree.
also, yeah, so I also started serious gardening, about since the MCO. And I can see that, with every month, it just gets better and better. So it's a very rewarding experience, and I hope that everybody will try it out. There is a question from the question and answer.
Okay.
This is from Anucha Chinta Kanon. It says, very nice presentation. How successful have you been in propagating your concept in urban areas, as the space may not accommodate the implementation of your concept?
Okay, thank you so much. That's a fantastic question. So just like in Thailand, our urban areas are mostly populated by high-rise buildings, apartment complexes, and that's just not for residential, that is for the governmental buildings and the corporate buildings as well. So what we try to introduce as a solution for people who don't have the space is to do community gardens. Community gardens is the way to go forward. It's a win-win for every party involved. So let's say you're a governmental institution, or let's say you're a school. So you don't have that much of space to work with. A community garden will bring sustainability efforts like an edible garden into there, and also garners the interest for more sustainable issues with the people, your beneficiaries, I mean your school children or your staff or your company members and whatnot. So I would say go for community gardens, and food forests is now replacing edible gardens as community gardens. So for example, in our residential town area, there is what we call buffer zone behind the train station. It's not that big, but it's big enough that we can introduce 700 trees in that one area, and it brings the community together. It promotes the well-being of the land and whatnot. So I hope that answers your question.
That's very good. I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. First of all, I love what you said about, to include the Orang Asli in every stage of, making like decisions or policy about our environment, because they are the best custodians
Correct.
of biodiversity, right? And so you mentioned in your presentation something about broad spectrum foraging. I think everybody has heard of broad spectrum antibiotics, but not everyone understands what is broad spectrum foraging. Could you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So broad spectrum foraging includes, but is not limited to harvesting. First of all, knowing what is in season. The Orang Asli having the indigenous having their habitat in their areas for years and years. The knowledge is passed down, so they will always know, okay, this banana will come only in September, or this fruit will only come in January. So they would base their menus, they would base their harvesting and foraging within that means that constriction, as well as not over harvesting. So over harvesting is just something not heard of in the indigenous communities because of their respect for land. They feel that they cannot cross the line of over harvesting because they have spirits around them that takes care of the forest and whatnot. But they also know how much to harvest, what to harvest, when to harvest. So that is very important, and that knowledge of the indigenous we also use in our urban permaculture gardens, and that is how we design our gardens basically.
Okay, that's we have so much to learn actually.
We do
from the indigenous people.
exactly.
Okay, then I think we are actually already over time a little bit. Are we? Yeah. Maybe just one last question is that would you call what you're doing? Would you call it a social enterprise?
Yes, we are a social enterprise. So three key components in a social enterprise compared to a traditional company or an NGO is we, first of all, we include people. People comes first, our beneficiaries, be it ourselves, our families, our community. We always have to think about the people we affect in our gardens. We make profit. That means we don't rely on government grants and donations whatsoever. And we always have a responsibility to the planet. So people, profit, and planet are the three keys of social enterprise, and that is why what we identify with.
Oh, no, sorry. Actually, we have until another 15 minutes, I think.
Oh, great. Sure.
Yeah. Are there any more questions from the floor? Actually, I'm from Penang and you're in the Klang Valley. So I've been following what's been going on in the Klang Valley. I find it very interesting. And I think you're also far ahead of what's in Penang. In Penang, we have a very beautiful community garden and a few others that are starting up. But I think in Klang Valley, it's like they are serious, they are quite they've become producers. I mean, some are the permaculture people, and then they have started, and then some are community, real community gardens where the neighborhoods come in. And okay, one of the questions that we face, for example, is like people always say, why can't the city council plant fruit trees?
So interesting enough, my family and I, we used to live in Subang Jaya, which is an urban area. It's a very, very, it's not so much of a city, but it's just outside of the city of Subang Jaya. So we had a really, really tall and really, really fruitful nangka tree. Jackfruit, nangka tree. So when the city development people came, they actually wanted to fight us on having the tree. And I say, we were like, what was the problem? We eat the jackfruit. We can share the jackfruit with our neighbors. Like, it has so many fruits. Why would you need us to cut it down? And then they simply say, it's not in our zoning plan. It's not heard of to have such tall trees, but that was the old days. I think now one of the benefits of social media and internet is awareness on sustainable solutions in terms of food and beverage, fruit trees included. So governmental agencies here in Malaysia, as well as everywhere else, and also municipal councils now are more lenient and more welcoming to fruit trees, especially if it's in a residential area or it's in an apartment community gardens and whatnot. So for us, we are in Klang, Selangor. So the Municipal Council of Klang has been very, very supportive of what we do, as well as our food forest community garden. They have been coming to our garden, and they praise us, and it's a very, very warm feeling to have them come over anytime, and they support, if not financially, with support in other ways for their programs and whatnot. So I'm really looking forward, especially in urban areas, on the involvement of municipal councils. But the more we press them, the more they will listen to us. So if you're having problems with your municipal councils or your local governance in your areas about fruit trees, community gardens, don't stop trying. I think Razak tried with our municipal council for 5 odd years, and it finally happened. So sustainability is in their plans right now, I believe.
That's great. There's a question again from Anucha. How is your financing, and do you get government assistance?
Okay, so like I said, we make our profits ourselves. We sell our composting. We don't really sell so much on our plants, but our main money comes from our capacity building programs, our visits and garden tours, as well as our tree planting projects and so on. So this is a very vital part of us being a social enterprise compared to an NGO. We don't rely on grants, except for the award that I won. That one had a bit of financial gift as the award prize. But other than that, we make our own money with our own products and our services.
Okay. There's another question which is on my WhatsApp.
Awesome.
You know, I mean, instead of
people are personally texting you.
Okay,
thank you so much.
Are there any noteworthy examples of food gardens in schools?
Food gardens in schools. So sure, there are plenty. I will post it on our Facebook. Because if I mention this now, there are plenty in there are a few in Klang, in Klang themselves. There are a few community gardens in Kuala Lumpur that's worthy to check out. Maybe after this session, I will post on our Facebook, SEEDS Malaysia, on the list of gardens and directly link you guys to their Facebooks.
Okay, please give us your website too, SEEDS Malaysia website.
Sure, on Facebook, we're SEEDS Malaysia, SEEDS MSIA,
okay.
Yeah, as well as Instagram. We don't post so much on Instagram or Facebook, but we're basically there.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Let's see. Yeah, and this talk will be posted on YouTube, I believe. Yeah, so after that,
Awesome.
The link will be up on the SEECHA website. Okay, one more question.
Sure.
Thank you, Au-Diya, for your inspiring presentation. Building on Fatma's observation, this is from Benjamin Ong. I would also like to ask how we can apply Kampong wisdom in urban neighborhoods. Last year, it was reported that MBSJ, that's the Municipal Council of Subang Jaya, banned planting fruit trees and veggies outside homes, or they can only plant in designated areas. Yet in the same month, MBSJ also boasted planting more than 150,000 trees in the city. How do we find room for the wise chaos of the Kampong in the order of the city?
Well, hello, fellow Subang people. So again, we used to stay in Subang. So but they're a city now. Yes, Bandaraya, they're a city of Subang Jaya. Back then it was not. So I think that was when the policy changed, and they are going and they are doing a lot of sustainability efforts in terms of being a municipal councils. I would suggest if you don't have a community garden, or if you're not involved in a community garden already, do get involved. If you are part of a community garden, try to fight them on it. Send letters, collect signatures, petition, do something. This was what the Kampong people used to do as well when a party didn't agree or they had land issue problems. They would gather and send the petition as a community, as opposed to sending it on you yourself. So I'm not asking you to bang their door and whatnot, but try to gather your community and try to fight your way around it. Other kampong solutions, do anything you can, awards like the Anugerah Kejiranan Hijau, the AKH 2021, is very, very big on edible gardens and food forests. That was one of the key winning components that helped us rank champion. But it helps so much that you apply whatever you want, then you ask for permission. Maybe that could work too.
Yeah. It translates as a Green Neighborhood Award, right?
Correct.
Anugerah Hijau, yeah. Okay, then I also know that SEEDS has been involved in replanting forests or trees, right? And using, I think, indigenous trees. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And also along planting trees along the rivers.
All right. So for the rivers, you can check out our River Tree project. They're doing a far better job than we are in terms of rivers and whatnot. River Tree project. And for the first question, just now, sorry, what was it?
The replanting in Kampong.
Right.
Kampong Perak, yeah.
Yes. So our recent tree planting projects. So we don't normally do the normal tree planting project where you hire us to plant, trees that are decorative or that are nice, flowers and whatnot. No, we always like to challenge our clients to plant fruit trees, food trees, so edible trees, anything that can produce food for let's say the one we did was for the university in Perak. So that university planted 2022 trees, so 2022 trees that included indigenous trees of Malaysia. That means trees that we are hard to find anymore, like putat, chermai and whatnot. These fruits, we just don't find them anymore, or these trees, we don't find them anymore, as well as trees that are native, fruit trees and food trees, basically.
That's great. Okay. So
thank you for the questions.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
If that is all, I would also like to share a saying. So in Malay, we call this peribahasa. It's translate to saying. It goes, laksana pohon kayu tidak berubah. So laksana pohon kayu tidak berubah. It translates to like the wood tree that doesn't fruit. What it means that any knowledge that you get unpracticed is purposeless. So whatever you got today from me, from Ms. Salma, I hope that it goes into fruition, and I hope you get to practice it one way or another. Thank you so much for giving me the space and the opportunity. On behalf of Razak and Intan, we appreciate it so much. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you. I think today you have planted a lot of seeds.
Oh.
So that everybody who have, who have watched this program, hopefully that, the seed of, it will plant that idea in them that they can also produce their own food, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. And then I just heard a poem, okay, but I can't remember where. They said that, you tried to bury us, but you forgot we are seeds.
True.
So we'll never give up, right?
That's fantastic. Yes,
Yeah.
we never give up.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to close by saying a little bit more about SEECHA, our Southeast Asian Cultural Heritage Alliance. Please follow our series, because every month we have a very interesting talk by people from all the different parts of Southeast Asia, every single country in Southeast Asia. And it's really, itself, it represents the cultural diversity of Southeast Asia. And we had actually started out on a platform of cultural heritage, and many of us actually from built cultural heritage background, and we have now challenged ourselves to understand nature regeneration, our natural heritage, and also the significance to climate and how we can, transform the way we live, so that we also have to answer the challenges of climate change. And so in January 2023, we'll have quite a big event in Bangkok. And this is thanks to the Science Society, because the whole SEEDS is actually powered by this very efficient, the people at Science Society, which is our secretariat. And they're organizing this conference. And it will bring representatives from all over Southeast Asia to talk about, very different aspects of cultural heritage, from, archaeology and, prehistory, and, down to community and, perspectives from different cultures and different religions, and how we understand our relationship to the planet from the viewpoint of all the traditions and the heritage that, have been passed on to us. So please follow SEEDS, follow our talks, and if you can, I don't know, that I don't know how to applaud, but give an applause or feedback on our Facebook. Go to our Facebook, and if you enjoyed this talk, please like our Facebook and give the feedback on our Facebook. Okay, thank you very much for being a wonderful audience. Thank you, Au-Diya. Thank you, Science Society.
Thank you very much, Ms. Busama. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Okay.